Hello, mate. Are you canvassing for? Can I have a leaflet?
Labour, yeah. How do you do?
Cheers.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. Hope you're voting for Sarah on Thursday.
I won't be. I live in Croydon North.
Oh, well, I hope you're voting for Steve Reed on Thursday.
No, I don't think I will be, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of things are on your mind? What's deciding it for?
Well,
you?
I think Labour are sort of going to screw the economy, aren't they? If they get in, if Jeremy Corbyn spends all that money on just anything really, just throwing money without any means of bringing in any extra money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose from my point of view, like the Tories, we've had in power for 10 years, and the economy's in a real state at the moment. Yeah. We know they have caused that.
But because they've either been a coalition, they had a proper government for a little while, and then they've been a minority government, aren't they? And the whole time, all this trying to backstab over Brexit has come into effect. Like a lot of the things Jeremy Corbyn says, like better wages, more affordable housing and that, to me makes sense if we get out of the EU. But if we're in the EU, say if as of tomorrow, everyone's rent was halved and everyone's pay was doubled, how many people would move here from the EU? If living conditions were so much better in Britain than the rest of the EU.
Places in the EU who have a lot better conditions than we have now. So, for example, like Sweden, Norway, places like that, and they don't have millions of people moving there. They
still have quite a lot. They've got a lot. They've got a massive immigration problem in Sweden.
I mean, personally, I think immigration gets scapegoated for a lot. Like, there's immigrants do a really good. They're a really important part of our society here, working in hospitals, teaching, all that kind of stuff.
That's another thing that I'm confused about that as well, because well, I'm not that confused. I think I know the answer, but. In the NHS, immigrants make up a disproportionate amount of doctors and nurses and things like that, and that's celebrated. But in the police force, white people make up a disproportionate amount of police officers, and that's condemned, and they need to do something about it. So they're saying we need more black police officers and less white police officers to make it more proportionate of the.
It's not condemned, actually. That's not correct.
It's criticised. It's definitely criticised.
Well, I think I'd put it a different way. It would be good if the police force was more representative of society.
But what about the health service? Would it not be better if the health service was as well?
Likewise.
But the way is, you hear people like Diane Abbott speak, and they think it's brilliant that we've got so many immigrants working on our health services, which you just alluded to just then.
And then I think so. You're using the word brilliant and condemned. It's a fact we do have, in some cases, because British people won't take some of the lower paid jobs.
And also, how could you?
That's why we had immigration in the 1950s and 60s anyway.
But it's not but I thought Labour wanted to push wages up. Surely you should say, rather than British people don't want to take the low paid jobs, if we're meant to be improving things for working class people, why don't they put the wages up rather than importing more immigrants to keep the wages down?
But that's what Labour wants to do. They want to raise everyone's wages.
No, but you just said that British people don't want to do low paid work.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that certainly people from abroad are recruited where there are vacancies because we can't fill them from British people.
But we can fill a lot of vacancies. A lot of jobs aren't even advertised here; they're just advertised abroad. I work on building sites, and different building firms employ from different immigrant populations. I go on one building site and they'll all be black. I go on another a building site, they'll all be Brazilian. I go on another building site and they'll all be Polish.
Building is a different matter, isn't it? Because
it's employment.
That's more. It's a different matter because there's a greater. First of all, it's in the private sector. Individual companies have got more power. They often that's often to do with outsourcing, deregulation.
But I worked over in North London on Labour's Schools for the Future programme, and it was like that there. There was so much. I couldn't believe how much money was being wasted on it. But again, it was all sort of immigrant labour.
But my friend, we have not invested enough in skilling people, which the Labour Party intends to do. That's part of our programme. The Tories are content with the situation you described. We're not content with that situation. We want to skill our workforce, so we do have nurses, builders. And a far broader.
Could you afford to train to be a doctor with the fees as they are now? I mean, it's years and years and years. I mean, nurses actually have to.
But you get good money once you're in. Once you're not a junior doctor, once you're a proper doctor, you get good money.
Yeah, quite rightly.
There's lots of doctors on well over 100 grand a year.
Yeah, but
well over 100 grand a year, and they can afford to pay back at a very low interest rate what they've earned.
So
what they've learned
let's
at
take
college.
nurses as an example. Then they basically they have to pay their fees to go there, and then they to learn to be nurses, and then basically they have to work for free as a part of that. So they in effect they spend tons on their education.
They do get student loans, do they? I admit that nurses, well, probably more the armed forces than anyone, but nurses should probably earn more money.
Yeah,
they should still have to pay back their student loans and things like that rather than training for free, because you get a lot of people go to university just to doss it off and don't get a qualification that helps the greater community. Obviously nurses do, which is why they should earn better money to help them pay off their debt. But even under the current Tory government, I'm pretty sure it's similar under Labour, but don't quote me on that. You're spending £1 billion a year educating mainly girls in the third world, and then recruiting them to our health service. If we spent that £1 billion training doctors and nurses, it's no extra money, it's not new money.
But remember, this is what the Tories are doing right now. This is what we're saying. We want to have a better education service in the UK. But like, I don't think like.
But I thought when it comes to things like foreign aid, I thought Labour and Conservatives are singing from the same hymn sheet on it. Like, more than 0.7% of GDP.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm just a volunteer, so I don't know too much about the figures on that kind of thing.
But I assume you're a taxpayer.
Yeah,
I'm a taxpayer as well, and things like that. And the amount of money that's pumped into foreign aid, I think it's about 14 billion officially. Then you've got military aid, you've got that budget for training girls in the third world, which isn't included. That's off a separate budget. So you're probably looking at about £20 billion a year that could be spent here. Yeah. Well, but Labour are champions of foreign aid.
Like personally, I wouldn't have an issue with that particularly either. But just in terms of that kind of thing, you know, if we were to actually tax people properly, people like Amazon and things like that, we would get that money instantly.
Yeah. Hi. Again, you could do if we was out of the EU. But the whole time we're in the EU, Amazon or any other company can move their European headquarters anywhere in the EU and just ignore anything that Jeremy Corbyn says. So like I said, a lot of things that Jeremy Corbyn says I agree with if we leave the EU.
But the EU is ganging up among the members of the EU are ganging up to solve this problem as a whole. So it's not just us.
Yeah.
If we stayed in Europe, the whole of Europe would gang together and sort it out.
Well, we can still gang together without being a member of the European Union, though, can't we?
Well, gang together with who?
They can do their bit, and we can say we support you on this.
Oh yes.
Can't we? We don't have to go to war with them because we're leaving.
Okay, that's true. But all the signs are that Mr. Johnson wants to take us as far away from Europe as possible. I'm sorry to drag her away, but
back to the foreign aid thing. I just wanted to finish. I'll be about half a minute. Yeah. Back to this foreign aid thing. It also it has a negative impact on the countries that receive it. Like Ethiopia, everyone remembers you're probably too young, but you remember Live Aid back in the 80s. Yes. And everyone's like, oh, it's terrible. These people in Ethiopia and other countries are in danger of starving to death. Do you know what the population of Ethiopia was then? No. It was about 39, almost 40 million people. Do you know what it is now? No. It's over 100 million. Yeah, but that's repeated across.
That's not down to us producing food for them. I mean, that's down to other factors. I mean,
aid is often linked.
But they need to take some responsibilities for their own.
The thing is, what the West does, it extracts their resources. It doesn't allow them to develop industrially, which is one of the big things of the African nations when they won their independence. They're not allowed to build factories. The West wants out of them is to extract
the West stop them from building factories.
Well, no, I mean,
well, the EU does.
I'm not a fan of the EU either.
I could comment on that. But we do need to get.
Okay then, thank you. Take care. Take care. Nice to meet you. Take care.